Hi, Sony. Um, you're kind of known for second effort on your runs for getting yards after first contact. I wonder where that comes from. When did you first kind of know that that was a special talent of yours, and what is it that allows you to do that?
Um, Mainly it's just kind of going off of some of the techniques, especially that Coach Brown teaches of just, being violent runners. And when you're violent runners and you just keep your feet moving, um, you should be able to gain extra yards after contact. And that's kind of the goal as a running back. The offensive line blocks, and you may gain 5 yards without being touched. But once someone touch you, how many yards can you gain after that? Whether it's making a guy miss or trying to run through a guy.
When did you first kind of know that that was a thing of yours?
The moment I started playing running back.
um, and then what have you seen of Cam Akers since he started practicing? I realize you never played or practiced with him probably before this.
A very talented kid, great guy, brings great energy, and I'm excited for him.
And then just one more thing. What has it meant to the team to see the defense kind of locking in more and more as the season goes on?
It means a lot, for everyone to kind of hold each other accountable and play for each other. To see this team playing complementary football, offense doing their job, defense doing their job, and even special teams stepping up and doing their job, it makes it a lot easier to get victories.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Gary? Hey, Gary, we can't hear you. All right, we're going to go to Jordan. Come right back to Gary. Jordan?
Sony, good afternoon. In early December, the Rams sort of made a point offensively, schematically, to overhaul a lot of the type of run blocking that they did in terms of changing and adjusting late in the season. And a lot of that specifically complements and accentuates what you do very well. What was that like to install for you as a part of that process, and especially to see it get off the ground as physically as it has? What has that been like for you?
Just being able to kind of run some plays that I'm kind of familiar with, that I've ran in the past, makes it, a lot more, makes it easy for me to be comfortable with running certain plays. Not that I'm not comfortable with, the other plays. But we've been having some success with it, and we also been having success with all the other zone schemes that we've been running also.
Just to the layperson's view, what are all of the pieces that have to come together, not just to introduce new things like that that you are familiar with, but maybe some other guys might not be? And then vice versa, in terms of continuing to blend that with some of that wide zone, that outside zone stuff that you still do?
It's very similar to everything that's in the game plan and it's in the playbook. It's really just all 11 guys being on the same page. And if all 11 guys are on the same page and we all execute, any play that's called, that's drawn up, it's possible to help us get positive plays or even be able to score touchdowns.
Thanks, Sony.
Yeah.
All right, let's try Gary again.
More time. Here we go.
There he is.
Okay, there it is. Sorry about that. Hey, Ashawn Robinson earlier was describing you as like a choo-choo train. He even gave out a big train whistle in terms of what it's like when your legs are moving, I think, through the defensive line and into the second level. Do you think that's an accurate description of kind of what you've got in your mindset when you're running the ball?
Kind of just, my mindset is just positive plays and potential touchdowns, trying to score touchdowns, and just doing my job as best as I can, as best as I know I can.
Mhm. And he talked about how that kind of running style as a defensive lineman, over time, over the course of a game, it can really wear them down and make them really have to dig deep to try and stop someone like you. Can you sense that, as the game's going on, as you're getting into 20 carries, can you sense fatigue on the opposite side?
Fairly, yes. The more you run the football and the more you're successful at running the football, it wears defenses down.
Mm-hmm. But do you get that sense as the game is going on that, you're maybe a line that was pretty effective in the first quarter, by the time it gets to the fourth, they've seen enough of you, they don't want to see you anymore?
To be honest, I kind of feed off of the offensive line's energy, them coming back to the huddle like, all right, let's get it. Like, we got this play, or, after a play, them picking me up and kind of, clapping me up, letting me know how successful that. I kind of feed off of the offensive line energy, knowing that, man, these guys are ready to roll.
Mm-hmm. Thanks very much.
Stu.
Hey, Sony, aside from Coach Brown, are there any other influences you can point to as far as maybe another running back you watched growing up or that you played with, where you watched them play and you're like, you know what, like this running style, this style of play is something that I know could really suit me well, and I need to mimic that?
I won't say not necessarily. Yes, there's running backs that I've kind of looked up to, but never really tried to mimic because it's kind of hard. I would say majority of the inspiration and competition comes from the running back room. Being in there with great running backs, guys that are willing to compete. You got Derek Henderson, you got Jake Funk, you got Buddy, and feeding off of those guys' energy, watching how they practice, them pushing me pushing them. It kind of helps create that, whatever running back you're supposed to be, whatever running style that you're supposed to have. It creates that competition.
Thank you.
Nick.
Hey, Sony. You just talk about the chemistry that you've been able to develop between yourself and Matthew Stafford over the last several games, and how you feel like that's been able to help you offensively, as far as just being able to run the ball, knowing the signals, knowing the calls, and being able to be effective?
Matthew's been playing this game for a long time, and he's a guy that I doubt nobody, have doubts about. He does a great job of leading this offense. He keeps this offense poised, even when things aren't going well, because that's the game, that's the nature of the game. Things may not go well, and things will go well, but he always is the same guy. And knowing him, that he's going to make the right call, make the right decisions to put this offense in the best possible position, as best as he can, there's nobody better to lean on.
And also, too, what have you seen in the last several games? You guys have been undefeated in the month of December, but what have you seen as a turnaround? I know they went on a 3-game skid, and you guys were able to turn it around and move it in a positive direction. What do you attribute the differences to, some of the key points that you guys have been able to hone in on and focus on to get better?
One, guys just playing ball, man, making plays and executing their assignments. 2, guys playing for each other. I think that's a big one. And also, there's been great energy. When you got that energy, everybody's feeding off the same energy, riding the same wave, you feeling that same frequency. So I think that's a big part.
Thanks a lot.
Lindsay.
Sony, do you feel any personal satisfaction proving what you've been able to do over the last 4 games?
Not necessarily, just more of, being able to be another piece of the puzzle of, trying to win games, because the only way to accomplish that ultimate goal is to win games. And no matter what, individual success happens, if you lose a game, it doesn't matter.
And I know our interactions with you have been pretty limited, just the short time you've been here, and then Zooms and social distance interviews and whatnot. But how would you describe yourself? Are you you don't seem like a super emotional guy, but how would you kind of describe your demeanor on the field, like kind of your presence off of it?
I don't know, just me. I just try to be the best version of me, bring good energy. just try to be a great teammate, a great person, just overall.
Are you quiet? Are you outspoken? Are you usually smiling? Are you usually
I'm a smiler, more of a listener. I wouldn't say quiet. I'll just say I'm more of a listener. I like to listen.
got it? Thanks.
Yeah.
And we'll wrap with Jordan.
Hey, Sony, I've been asking your teammates this as we've sort of gotten opportunity to speak with them, but I think you might have a unique perspective based on some of the things that Cooper Kupp does in the run blocking game. What is your favorite Cooper Kupp play so far of this season?
This man made a lot of plays. That's hard. That's a hard question. There's no one play, but he consistently set the standard. And besides the numbers and the media talk on him being the best receiver, he actually is about that life when it comes to honing in on your craft, being selfless, doing it for his teammates. And that's one guy that I'm glad that I'm
When he obviously getting introduced to the offense, then now, of course, with the physicality of the run game, was there a moment where you saw him maybe next to you seal an edge or open a hole or something, and you're like, oh, he's about the run blocking life?
Yeah, I've seen it in practice. First time that I practiced and seeing how important the blocking aspect is to him, and all the receivers does a tremendous job. And when I was here, I never really been around a group of receivers that actually goes in and tries to like take people off the map. I mean, it's kind of cool.
Thanks, Sony. Appreciate it.